Good evening and thank you for joining us. Like many Canadians, we are keeping an eye on the upward trend of new COVID-19 cases in this country. Health officials are urging everyone to continue efforts to stop the spread as we navigate the reopening of schools and businesses. Despite the warnings and fears of a second wave, there are people ignoring restrictions intended to prevent new infections. But as Mike Drolet reports, in one province, being defiant about wearing a mask could land you with a hefty fine.
In Montreal, they marched for freedom. Hundreds of people claimed their rights are being trampled on by Quebec's insistence they wear masks to limit the spread of COVID-19. Another large rally in Ottawa was about gun rights, with roughly half of those attending ignoring mask and distancing rules. Yesterday, Canada's top doctors said it was events like these that may determine future pandemic decisions.
It's not a simple level at which someone is going to roll back a particular measure, but we just have to watch it really carefully so that things don't escalate to the extent that we can't manage.
As of now, they're managing, but COVID-19 is trending up. After the big wave in April and May, the number of COVID-19 cases in Canada dipped in the summer. But recent weeks have seen some spikes. Is it a second wave? That depends on how high the numbers go.
We're in the slow boil phase, the first climb of the first post-big wave. It's not pleasant to watch. People need to understand this is how it's going to be for the next few months until something miraculous happens, like the arrival of a highly efficacious vaccine.
And the numbers will almost certainly rise once new cases from the start of the school year are put into the system. That could take up to 2 weeks. And with cooler weather, there's less humidity, which means COVID-19 aerosol droplets hang in the air longer. Quebec, for one, isn't waiting. As of this weekend, police will be able to fine people disobeying mask laws up to $6,000. A heavy-handed approach epidemiologists aren't sure will work.
Unfortunately, it's like treating the population like children. But this is kind of where we are right now.
With anti-mask rallies, kids in school, and COVID complacency, what other options do the provinces have? Mike Drolet, Global News, Toronto.
As if university or college isn't stressful enough. Add in the pandemic. Post-secondary institutions across the country are implementing a variety of approaches to keep students safe. Ross Lord looks at the difficult task of balancing normalcy and keeping COVID-19 in check.
Their school year hasn't even started, and these students at Acadia University are already being tested on their discipline. They're enduring 14 days of quarantine because they came to Nova Scotia from outside Atlantic Canada. During their isolation period, they're also required to take 3 COVID-19 tests.
Until you get your first result, you can't actually come outside. So this is the first time I've been able to come outside, and they have earlier. So I've been just kind of watching them from the window.
Schools like Acadia have an advantage. There's been little to no infection in the surrounding community that could spread onto campus. But they also face a big challenge, welcoming students from other parts of Canada and the world safely.
And making sure that they're self-isolating when they arrive, and also making sure that there's really strong surveillance in place, because we have seen that it doesn't take a lot for cases to start increasing. And so being able to find those quickly and respond quickly is really important.
RCMP have fined 4 Nova Scotia students $1,000 each for not self-isolating. 3 are from St. Francis Xavier University in Antigonish. 1 student is from Acadia. But when classes begin later this month, students will have some flexibility. Unlike many Canadian universities that are switching to online courses, Acadia and a few others are offering students a choice. They can study online or in class.
I'm honestly fine with doing it in person because so far everything else has been really set up super properly. So I'm not too concerned about that with like mandatory masks and distancing.
Acadia declined to make anyone available for comment, but the student union has reservations.
We've spoken seriously to them because frankly, returning to face-to-face classes, although it may be desired by students, is not the safest option.
Delicate positioning as post-secondary students and administrators navigate the pandemic. Ross Lord, Global News, Wolfville, Nova Scotia.
Oxford University and pharmaceutical firm AstraZeneca are set to resume clinical trials on a potential COVID-19 vaccine in Britain. Testing was paused for nearly a week after a volunteer in the UK developed unexplained symptoms of a rare spinal cord inflammation. Now that an independent safety review has been completed, the British trials will move forward. AstraZeneca says it's working with international health authorities to resume testing elsewhere, including in the US.